successfully, so they make a big party, fly through the sky, hold them to my foot, boy, don't you cry.
Yeah.
Break through the clouds.
Yeah, I mean that's
I know what you're saying.
isn't that
The Transom Bait.
Don't hear a sound.
Good one too. All right, folks, what is going on? It is me, it is Jersey Cat, and I am back. I was sitting here editing this video. Actually, I've been editing for like a couple days now, and it was just a small little video that I filmed at Hartwell recently, and I got to a point in the clip where I was trying to explain a tactic I was doing called Transom Bait, and I thought to myself, I was like, you know, I've been asked a million times by tons of different people whenever I say, you know, people ask me, well, how'd you get it? What'd you get it on? I got it on a transom bait. And a lot of people are like, what do you mean? What's a transom bait? What are you talking about? Like the rod you have on the transom? Like, no. A transom bait, my definition of a transom bait is a bait that you keep anywhere from like right at the prop, like literally a foot, 2 foot back from the prop to 40 foot back from the boat. You know, transom baits have contributed to quite a few 20-plus pound fish on the boats that I've owned, boats that I've been on, and it's just a really good tactic for catching really big stripers. And I can't ever remember coming across a video that has ever explained a transom bait in detail. So I figured, why not now? Here we go. Yeah, so a transom bait, you know, I like to use, depending on the time of year, a transom bait is effective the majority of the year. In the summertime, when you're downlining and the stripers are deep and they're not in that upper water column, or they're not pursuing bait into the other upper water column, you know, you may as well put the transom bait down. But from, I'd say, especially like on southern impoundments, Georgia, Alabama, you know, Virginia, places like this, starting in October, late September, October, depending on your water temperature and what kind of weather you have coming in, I start deploying my my transom bait. And you know, those, when I start seeing water temperatures in the 70s, you know, once we break 80 and we start going down into the 70s, my transom bait's out there. That's one of the first baits I put out there. Boom, it's done. You know, that's set. I have something in the water. Now I can put my planer boards out there and start my spread. When I'm fishing open water, though, I prefer to use herring. You know, I might even have 2 transom baits. If I have shad and the fish team to be flip-flopping one day or the other to where they want shad, you know, in the fall, stripers will, some days they'll want all shad, and you'll load up on shad the next day and go out there, and every bite you get will be on a herring. That's just the way stripers are in, you know, October, early fall, November. And, you know, that time of year, my transom bait is usually a herring, a big herring. You know, I'll get one of the bigger herring that I have in my tank, and I'll put that as my transom bait when I'm fishing. But in the springtime, certain areas of fishing tail races and whatnot with trout, I'll use trout for a transom bait, or shad. And I prefer to use those 8 to 10 inch shad. I've used very big shad for transom baits in the past, and I get a lot of follows, but I think the big giant shad as a transom bait draws more curiosity, and they're more just looking at it. And I think those 8 to 10 inch gizzard shad, the stripers are more prone to just smashing them and taking off. They don't usually mess with it. Usually your transom bait, you'll just be sitting there fishing, all of a sudden you hear the bottom fall out behind your boat and your rod's bent zinging. You will get fish from time to time that'll play with a bait and smack at it 3 or 4 times, but usually the transom bait is bang and it's gone. You know, that fish is very intent. They see the boat and then they see that bait come over and they totally don't care about the boat anymore, and they zero in on that shad, smash it, and go. And the transom bait is highly effective in the springtime when stripers are running up rivers, whether it be Lake Lanier, whether it be Hartwell, whether it be Clarks Hill, whether it be this lake, whether it be Lewis Smith, whether it be Smith Mountain Lake. When you got stripers heading up the river and you're fishing in shallower water, you know, anywhere from 6 to 15 foot deep, that transom bait is a very crucial bait to have out there. You won't catch me up in a river without a transom bait behind my boat. And I might stagger 2 transom baits. I might have one right there in the wash, right behind the boat, swirling about, and that'll be my 8 to 10 inch gizzard shad. And then I might have another, you know, a herring out maybe 20 foot back from him, or another gizzard shad 20 foot back from him. But yeah, you know, I was, like I said, I was going through this and then I thought about all the videos and all the, you know, fish and all the bigger fish that I've caught in the last couple of years on the transom baits. And, you know, I just think that people need to be aware of it, because I talk to so many people and it just doesn't seem to be many people who know, especially guys that have showed up in the last few years and started fishing for stripers and got addicted to the striper bug. You know, it's not something that gets talked about a lot, but the transom bait is a crucial bait, especially if you want to catch big fish. A lot of the bigger fish that I hooked in the last year and a half, a lot of the fish that I couldn't stop, couldn't turn, were hooked on that transom bait. And, like I said, just experiment with it. Like I said, my idea of a transom bait is anything right next to the boat all the way out to 40 foot. Anything beyond 40 foot, I just call a long line or a long flat line. But yeah, you know, here's a couple clips to show you what a transom bait can do. And if you've watched my videos, you can tell that these are some of the bigger fish from the past few trips. Yeah. Get yourself a transom bait, man. Put it out there. Don't ignore the transom bait. Have a bait right there. I know it's counterintuitive to have a bait so close to the boat, because you think boat equals fish shy, fish won't eat this bait. Not the case. I mean, you know, how often have you had a downline 15 feet under a boat and a fish comes up and smashes that downline right underneath the boat with the boat 15 feet away? You know, that boat's got to look like the Titanic being that close, you know, and the fish didn't care about that. So don't let that, you know, get in your head about, that bait's too close, the fish isn't going to eat that. Those fish are going to eat that bait. And chances are that big fish that was underneath your boat or looked at one of those downlines and changed his mind, if he sees that transom bait, he's going to smash it, and he's going to grab it, and he's going to take off. So this is just a quick video, man. You know, I'm trying to explain what a transom bait is. I mean, I could try to run this out for 20 minutes or so, but I mean, really, there's not a lot to talk about. You know, transom bait is a herring, a shad, or a trout within, you know, 2 to 40 foot back from your boat. And, you know, you could either have it hanging right on the top. Like, usually, like, when I have a bait right there, I put just enough line out there to keep that shad just going back and forth like this. You don't want to put so little line out there that the shad's, like, sideways and coming up out of the water. You want him to have just enough line to stay upright and go back and forth and have like about an 8 to 10 foot sweep back and forth behind the boat. And that action, because that shadow, he'll cut out to the side and then he'll dart back to the left, and he'll cut out to the side and he'll dart back to the right. And that erratic side to side action is what drives those big stripers nuts. They gotta have that bait. Something about that transom bait, they just see it, they want it, they have to have it. And that's like my favorite bait, especially if I'm fishing up rivers for stripers in the springtime that are running up rivers to spawn. That bait close to the boat, you know, with that short leash, that's a great bait, man, let me tell you. Yeah, otherwise, like I said, there's not a whole lot to discuss about it. It's a bait close to the boat. You can add a split shot. You can add a heavier weight if you're going to put them out 20, 25 feet. Like if you have fish that aren't really coming up and smacking your boards or smacking bait off the surface, that transom bait, you know, 20 to 30 foot back from the boat with one split shot to keep them about 5 foot down below, you know, that's great bait, man. You got to have it out there. And that's really all I got. Just now you know what a transom bait is. So next time you hear an old timer say, yeah, I got that big one yesterday on the transom bait, you know exactly what they're talking about now. It's a bait right in the wash of your boat, out to no more than 40 feet. Once you get out past 40 feet, you know, that's pretty much a flat line. That's not a transom bait anymore. Some guys would argue with me and say a bait that far back's not a transom bait, but like I said, I consider anything from the, you know, transom out to about 40 feet of transom bait. So there you go. Have it out there, especially this time of year, especially in the months coming up, because it's going to be very important. Those stripers are going to be smashing everything, especially if you're a river fisherman and you want to go up and try fishing the river this spring, whether it be on Lanier or any of these other southern impoundments where they run up river. Have a transom bait out there. You're gonna be surprised at the results, and you're not going to regret putting it out there. Trust me, I guarantee it. Yeah, that's it for the transom bait. It's on right now. Boom! 39¼ inches. Almost a 40 incher. All right. Oh, and last but not least, I'm trying to get this video done quickly because February 3rd, next week, not this week, but next weekend, the Jim Ellis Chevrolet Professional Grade Spring Classic is coming up February 3rd. It's a fishing expo. There's going to be vendors there. Yours truly, is going to have a booth there. I am going to be holding a seminar at the end of the expo. I think I'm the last to go on or the second to last to go on next Saturday. And I'm going to be discussing artificial striped bass tactics, the when, the where, the time. We're just going to start and we're just going to go. And towards the end of it, I'll open up the floor to questions. Y'all can ask me questions, pick my brain. If there's something I didn't cover or you want me to expand on something that I talked about more thoroughly, just show up, show some support. There's no charge to get in. It's a free expo. There's going to be other vendors there. There's going to be bass tackle dealers. Last year there was several bait shops there that had kayaks for sale. There was bass tackle. Cast King was there selling reels for heavy discounts. Cast Company, who makes the Cast Prodigy and all those other lures I talk about, they had a booth there. So Lord only knows who's going to show up this year. I haven't got the full details on who's coming because I'm trying to focus on what I'm doing instead of worrying about what everybody else is doing. But February 3rd, Jim Ellis Chevrolet, Buford, Georgia. It's the Captain Max Expo. He puts it on in combination with Jim Ellis Chevrolet. So I'd appreciate it if you show up. Like to see you there. Come holler at me. Meet me in person. Tell me how much you hate my video. Tell me how much you like my video. Tell me how much I don't know about what I'm talking about. But I'm just joking around. But Jim Ellis Chevrolet, the Spring Classic Expo. Show up, man. Let's have a good time. Like I said, I'll be speaking. It'll be towards the end of the day, 3 or 4 o'clock, sometime around there. And that's pretty much all I got, man. All right, y'all, that is it. Before I go any further rambling on about nothing, like, subscribe, leave a comment. I appreciate all the support y'all have been giving me. We've been doing very good lately with subscribership. I also have my shorts channel, which is actually doing really good. I have one video that I just put out the other day, hit over 6,000 views, which I was like, oh, wow, that's the first video I posted in a while, and it was like, took off. But, stick around, man. Things are going to get better. I got some big things coming up. I have some big things coming up with other guides and other vendors and other tackle companies and other bait shops and whatnot. So I'm really looking to try to, dive all into this and see where it goes. It's been a dream of mine. It was a dream of my grandfather's for me to go up and turn my life, my career to be fishing. So to be taking this step is a homage to him. And it's also, it's about time. My whole life has been fishing. Everything about my life has been fishing. Fishing saved my life, as cliche as that is to say. I'm sure many people say that, but literally it did. So I'm excited, man. I'm pumped up. I'm investing more money into this thing. I don't make any money off of it yet. All the money that's went into my guide business so far has went back out in new cameras, new equipment, new reels, new rods. So, yeah, man, I'm just taking the money and I'm turning it right around and putting it back on the street. So, stick around. We'll see where this goes. And until next time, like, subscribe, leave a comment. I think I already said that. I'm not sure. But, I'll see you all later. And I'm sure to have some video up very soon of something else. But I hope the Transom Bait explanation came out clear enough so you understand exactly what that is and why it is so important to have on your boat 8 months out of the year. But with that, I'm just rambling. I'll see you all later. And I hope to see you at the expo next weekend. February 3rd, Jim Ellis Chevrolet, Buford, Georgia. Be there, be square, all that cheesy cliche stuff. And, that's it. Take care. See y'all later.